What is up, guys? Welcome back to Two in the Zone. We do this every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We skipped yesterday just because it was a huge football day, so we wanted you guys to focus on the NFL there. But we're back today. We'll be back tomorrow, and then we'll be back again on Friday. This is an NBA show. We do a recap of some of the previous night's slate, and then we get into some of our favorite and best bets for tonight's slate. There's only two games tonight, Dead. My one and only the GOAT there, Dead Press Picks. How you doing, man?
What's up, bro? Yeah, doing good, doing good. Happy to get back into it this week with you. Missed out on yesterday, but got a couple games we can get into tonight, right? Got some props. Yeah, we'll go over yesterday's games as well.
Yes, back to the grind. First thing is thank you to our sponsor, Seven Stack Sports. Without them, the show wouldn't be possible. So appreciate him. But really, we just wanted to let you guys know that they're the best Twitter book around. Like, it's not even close. They do amazing odds boosts. They basically gave a touchdown to every single team in the wild card this past weekend, which is nuts. That would have gone like, I think, 10-2 if you just bet all 12 teams on the touchdown. And then they do minus 105 lines for NFL and NBA. They do same day payouts if you're using cryptocurrency. Dead and I, we've been with them for several months now. We've been working with them, so we respect what they do. Very reputable and very trustworthy. So definitely give Seven Stack Sports a follow. If you sign up with them, DM myself and Dead and show us proof, like a screenshot or something like that, and then we'll give you our free VIP card for the day. So it's a win-win for everybody there. Thank you again, Seven Stack Sports. Definitely give them a follow. All right, let me go ahead and get into some of last night's games here. Let me put this up here. Last night's recap. All right. We had a big slate last night, Dead, and I personally went 2-1, so that was good. I shouldn't have added the Spurs late. It was a big screamer for me. They were only 3.5-point dogs against the Suns. It was a Spurs play, but they got killed in that fourth quarter. But I did hit the Cavs really easily and the Grizzlies very easily. How'd you do yesterday?
Yeah, I had a 2-2 but profitable NBA day, so I was also on the Grizz with you there. AC got on them live at -7, and then what was my? Oh, I had Bobby Portis over 9.5 rebounds. Every bet I'd made on Bobby Portis this year, he somehow won. And then I had Trey over 2.5 threes. He only got two. And then my one loss, heartbreak of the night is we had a plus 500 parlay, right? We needed 1 point in the fourth quarter from Malik Monk, and he couldn't do it.
Oh, man.
Got hooked on the big time parlay there. But you know what? We're cooking up one more for tonight. We're ready to get back into it. But yeah, really good day of basketball, right? MLK Day is become a big day in the NBA. So it's fun having the games all day long. Obviously, we wish we could get that every day, but yeah, a lot to get into from yesterday.
Yeah. All right. So the first game there was Pelicans Celtics. I'm sure when schedule makers created this game, on MLK, they thought it was going to be Zion, Tatum. There's no Zion for all year so far. But the Celtics got down really early in this game, I guess through like three quarters, and then stormed back at the end. I thought it was going to be a Pelicans win to start out the day, but the Celtics came back, won 104-92. Any thoughts on this, Dead?
Yeah, it's interesting, AC, because I was looking at this game as well, and I was thinking on Celtics first half. Thank God I didn't, because that just would have been sick that they end up covering the full game with ease. But big second half from the Celtics, man. I mean, they're expected to win this game. They're back over the 500 mark finally. But, I mean, their guys showed up, right? Tatum 27, Brown 23, Schroeder 23. Big-time game from them. Pelicans played good, but they didn't play a complete game. So, Celtics taking care of business. They're another team. Like, what do we think about the Celtics here? Are they going to be a postseason team? Kind of what's their ceiling?
I don't like them, man. I don't like them. I just think there's no depth. Obviously, Tatum and Brown are great players, right? And I think there's a little bit of uneasiness there because I think Tatum should be the number one option, but I'm sure Jaylen Brown thinks he's the number one option, so there's some unrest there. So I think they need to move Tatum, they need to move Brown, another piece to bring like a center, like a power forward, because they just have zero depth on the inside. What do you think?
I don't know, man. I want to say they'll make it because, like you said, they're the two stars there, but their bench is just ungodly weak. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, they have no one that they bring in off the bench, and it poses any type of threat. So To me, I don't think like if they get in, they're going to be like a play-in type of team. Maybe that's possible, right? But I mean, the bench being so weak is just a killer for them. So good win yesterday, but still going forward, I don't know about them. All right, how about the Hornets and the Knicks? Knicks end up only putting up 87 in this game. They say LaMelo
Ouch.
Ball was ruled out right before the game. He
Hmm.
had illness. He was ruled like in, out, and then ultimately out.
And
Miles
then
Bridges.
in and then out again. Yeah.
Miles Bridges 38. I honestly thought I was going to get it with the Knicks here. I'm like MLK Day, they're at home, early game, like it just felt right, and then they kind of got blown out. Like I think the score makes it closer than it really was.
Yeah.
But how do you score 87 against the Hornets? Like they're one of the worst defenses in the NBA.
They are the worst defense and they play super fast. The Knicks have had trouble offensively all year. Only 87 points, like you said. So 30, let's see, 44 in the first half, 43 in the second half. So pretty consistently bad there. And like you said, the score here is actually a lot closer than what the game said because the Knicks outscored the Hornets 20-11 in the fourth. So they headed into the fourth quarter down 19. So the game was already over by then. Looking at some of the stats here, so we have 2 stars, right? Julius Randle was 6 for 16. That's a bad showing. RJ Barrett 7 for 18 for 18 points. I've mentioned this many times on this show. If RJ Barrett scores 25 to 30, then they're a really good team. But if he goes under that, they're just like a middling, barely playoff level team, underperforming offense, and their defense has picked up a little bit since that really bad start. But the Knicks, I don't know, man. They really need Kemba back. They need D Rose back. So they are missing some pieces there. Noel's been out as well, but I think they just make some more trades. Obviously, they went for Cam Reddish, right? But I'm not sure
Yeah,
what the latest is on him. He hasn't played.
yeah, you've been a little bit injured as well. So ultimately, another team, AC, like we talk about, I have a ticket that says Knicks not to make the playoffs at plus money. So I'm hoping they don't make it, but I think they'll get to like a play-in spot. I gotta imagine they'll get there at least.
It has to,
So
yeah.
they'll have a chance. I just don't like their chances that much. My 76ers, who have been the best team in the NBA in the new year, went down yesterday.
Annoying.
Yeah, I was thinking of you because I was like, this is a Wizard screamer, right? Like they were like -1.5. I think they closed on the road. Like the line just didn't make sense. Bradley Beal back in the lineup, but I mean the Sixers are so dependent on like if their role players, excuse me, are off, they're dead, right? Like, and it's sad that I have to call Tobias a role player because he's on a max contract, but that's what he is. He was 3 for 11 with 7 points. Seth
Mm.
was off. He only scored 8. And I mean their bench.
Tobias fouled out too.
Yeah, he was just awful. I mean, you know my feelings on Tobias. So Embiid, though, MVP numbers once again, 32 and 8. I mean, this guy's just continuously putting up 30 plus. But I
Mhm.
got to give some love to the Wizards because Thomas Bryant yesterday ended up with 15 points in 16 minutes. He's been bothered, just coming back from injury, right? As well, I believe it was a torn ACL. I don't want to be quoted on that. I forget exactly what he tore, but. The Wizards bench was great, right? Beal only scored 13. So like if you think, hey, we can hold Beal to 13 and Dinwiddie to 7, you're going to
Yeah.
win a lot of those games. But their role players really stepped it up. Harrell 18, Bryant 15, Hachimura.
They had 7 guys scoring in double digits.
Right.
So
And
that's
how many
legit,
were
yeah.
off? And 4 of them were off the bench. So a lot of those guys were coming off the bench. Wizards 23 and 21. What's the ceiling you think for Washington this year?
Yeah, so they've had a roller coaster season, right? They started off really strong, elite offense. They play run and gun. Oh yeah, shout out to Kuzma. He had potentially the dunk of the season yesterday against your boy
Russ might have
Joel.
won. Russ might have one upped them though. I don't know if you saw the Russ dunk.
Maybe, but we've seen that out of Russ. We've never seen that out of Kyle
Yeah,
Kuzma, so
Kuzma was
that's
actually.
more surprising. But yeah, what are the chances for the Wizards? I think they're a good team because you either have to be really good offensively or really good defensively. They're really good offense when they're healthy, so they are elite when it comes to scoring the rock. And if they score 117 like they did yesterday, they're going to win a ton of games, especially in the East because you have some really bad offenses there from Detroit,
Okay.
Magic, Knicks, things like that. So those are free wins in my opinion for the Wizards. I think they're definitely a playoff team. And don't sleep on Rui, man. He's been out for the majority of the year. He's coming back. He's been playing a lot more. If he gets 20, 30 minutes a game, that defense is going to get better as well.
I'm with you there for sure. And for the Sixers, tough loss, but they were playing, I think, 3 and 4 nights, so understandable loss there on the road. All right, the Cavs and the Nets. You said you were on the Cavs, AC.
Yep.
They just continue to get it done. A 27-18 record now for them. Crazy that they're tied in terms of wins with the Nets, which is kind of like a weird stat there. We know that Kevin Durant's going to be out for the next 3 to 4 weeks. The part-time player of the year, Kyrie Irving, with 27 in the game, going back to Cleveland. So he did his part. Harden scored 22. But again, AC, I'm looking at this bench and I'm like, we were just talking about the Knicks with or the Celtics, excuse me, with their lack of depth on the bench. The Nets don't have a bench now without their star. Do you think the Nets, get on a little bit of a skid here? Because Kyrie can only play when they're on the road. So, when they're at home, it's James Harden and, who playing for the Nets?
And I think James Harden is a hell of a talent, right? He's going to go down as one of the best players ever, especially in this generation. He probably should have at least one more MVP that, Steph Curry stole from him. But he's not at this point in his stage of his career, can bring it every single night, whether that's age, his fitness level, or just his motivation level. He's going to have games where he goes off for like 35, 10, and 10, like how he used to in Houston. But he can't do that every night. And if Kyrie is not playing every night, I think they are going to go on a skid, man. You mentioned that their bench, Blake Griffin, 5 points, Bruce Brown, 2 points, Cam Thomas, 6 points. LaMarcus had a good game with 13 points, but that was it. That's all they got from their bench. 3 really underperforming guys, and then LaMarcus had a good game. So their starters actually played pretty well, man. They dropped 107 against a really good defense in Cleveland. But the problem is their defense. So if they can't D up and Cleveland can put down 114 on you, I don't know. I don't like the Nets moving forward until Kevin Durant is back in.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I think that they're going to fall out a little bit of kind of the top spots in the East until he gets back, just because, Kyrie can only play so many times. So the Bulls, they were really depleted yesterday. This isn't the normal Bulls team, right? They had no Caruso, no Levine, Ball, Patrick Williams still out. They were just a beat up team. They were starting McKinney and Ayo and Kobe White, so not their normal lineup yesterday. You and I were both on the Grizz, who again get it done. But a guy I want to headline who I just don't think is getting a lot of love here is Desmond Bane. He's playing at an all-star level, 17.7 points per game. And his 3-point shooting, he has been lights out. It seems like 42% on the year. So what is your thoughts here on the Grizzlies? Because they're 31-15, right? Yesterday I'm not putting a whole lot into because it was a beat-up Bulls team. But we were kind of talking about the ceiling. What's the ceiling for the Grizzlies in the West? Because they're, I believe, what are they, the second youngest team in the NBA? They're a really inexperienced team, but there's so much talent there, and they kind of remind me of that old Spurs type of teams where they have a lot of – they're deep teams, right? They don't have necessarily the star – I don't know if Ja's, going to be as good as those Spurs greats, but they're deep. They move the ball. They play together. Unselfish team. What's your thoughts on the Grizz?
I think the Grizzlies are for real, man. I don't know if they're going to advance far in the playoffs because young teams don't win, right? The youngest team that I can remember that really had success and they lost in the finals was that Thunder team, and they had 3 MVPs on one team. Before that, the young Steph Clay team, I think in 2013, 2014 with Mark Jackson as head coach, they lost in the first round. This is what it reminds me of is that team, right? You have a young Steph, which is kind of like a young Ja Morant, and then you have pieces around him. And you're right. Desmond Bane has been balling. Jaren Jackson is like the perfect stretch 5 right now in today's modern NBA because he can guard all 5 positions. He can rebound, block shots, and shoot the 3. So they're doing that really well. They still have Steven Adams if they need size to stop the Jokic, Embiids, those kind of guys. So they have a lot of versatility on that team, and the coach is really good. The coach is actually like a run and gun, shoot threes, space the floor type of guy. So this is like a year or 2 early for him, right? For his team to really do this well, because they're still missing 1 or 2 really good shooters, and Dylan Brooks have been out for a lot of the season. So I think Memphis is the real deal. They had won 10 in a row before they lost to the Mavericks, and then they went back on the winning track with Chicago there. So I think they're just going to continue to roll, and they're going to play hard since they're so young and motivated.
Yeah. Here's my thing with them. I mean, right now, if the season ends, right, they play the Nuggets, obviously in Memphis. So, I mean, I think they'll win a playoff series. Like, I think that if they could stay in that top four range and host a series, because I think it's big if they can be at home, being a young team, that they'll be good. And right now, it looks like they'll be top four because they're 5.5 games above the Mavericks.
Yeah, I think they're pretty much supplanted in the top four. I think it's a bust if they don't win the first series.
They don't
right?
win series, right? Yeah. And we kind of know like the Lakers are a scary 7 still because I think everyone's kind of holding their breath with the Lakers. Like, oh, they'll eventually get there, even though they haven't really gotten there. Right now, the Lakers are in a playing game against the Blazers, but time will tell. I think that they're going to win a series, but I don't think that they're all that close to like the Suns, Warriors.
It'll be matchups for LA, man. Because if they play one of the really high scoring teams, there's no way that Lakers offense can contend.
Yeah, they can't shoot with them. Yeah, like if they play like the Grizzlies, for example, like somehow
maybe.
maybe.
I
think that favors the Grizz. All right, let's move it along here to the next game that we had yesterday, the Pacers and Clippers. This was just a shootout, and I think the over/under here was
surprising.
It was like 209 or 210. It was a low total, and I mean, man, these teams just went crazy. Nick Batum with a 30-piece. Didn't think I'd be talking about that on today's show, but I mean, he stepped up. You look at this Clippers team and that starting lineup; it's just not really good at the moment. We know Luke Kennard has still been out. George, obviously, Kawhi. They're just a depleted team. Like they're a team that we don't even know will they be able to get in with all these injuries. But the Pacers been 15-29. They have to make a move, right?
Terrible, man. Giving up 139 to that Clippers team. Let me tell you the Clippers starters, man. But 45-year-old Nicholas Batum, 40-year-old Marcus Morris, Zubac, Reggie Jackson, who his name is more synonymous with a baseball player, and then Coffee, who had 16 points, 3 threes and 16 points. That's really embarrassing defense for the Pacers. And just some news earlier today, Miles Turner is going to be out for the next 2 to 3 weeks with an injury. So no Brogdon last night, no Miles Turner. Yeah, this team needs something, man.
I think they're done this year, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I mean, like in theory, they could rally if they made a trade because the bottom of the East is so like they're I mean, they're still like technically.
No, they're bad. I mean, they overperformed the last 2 years, right? They did really well in that bubble year to make it to the playoffs, and then last year, no one even talked about them, and they made the playoffs. So they've been overperforming. This is the year they kind of regressed back to what we expected.
But it is a talented roster, so I think it makes it interesting. Like they have really good players on this team. It just for whatever reason it doesn't work, and I think it's mostly that lack of defense just catches up with them. The Hawks finally won a game, let alone a home game. AC. This is the game I had the props. So Portis, we had over 9.5 rebounds. He ended up with 13. Trey, I needed 3 threes. He only hit 2. Good effort though. He jacked up.
Those are 2 great bets, man. Those are 2 great bets.
He had enough to hit it, but he just couldn't get it done. But ultimately, the Hawks here, a huge win. I know they're 18-25, but this might be that win that can get them back to being that team that we saw reach the Eastern Conference Finals last year. Trey stepped it up, man. I mean, he was great in the game with 30. But give me your thoughts on this. And again, this is a team I want to talk about. Like, are the Hawks going to be a team who can get back into the mix? Because they're 4 games out of a play-in, not a play-off.
Yeah.
Like, getting in the playoffs right now, they're 7 games out.
Talent-wise, they're definitely a playoff team in the East. I'm a really big fan of DeAndre Hunter. It was nice to see him play yesterday. I think that the tag team between him and Okongwu gave Giannis a lot of trouble. Like Giannis only had, 27, 6 and 6. That's actually a really quiet game for a team that scored 114. You would assume he's in the 30, 10, 8 range. But all of his props hit under actually rebounds, assists, and points. So I think the versatility and the length, right, of Hunter, Okongwu, and John Collins is going to be a lot of trouble for people. So that means the odd man out is Capella. So if they want to move Capella or maybe move John Collins, this would be the time, in my opinion, with DeAndre Hunter and Okongwu coming back. I think this is a good team. Their bench is pretty solid, right, with a lot of veterans: Danilo, Lou Will, DeLon Wright, TLC. But it's all gonna fall on Trae Young, man. This game was actually the Bucks were dominating this game until the end of the third quarter. Finally, Trae Young woke up, but the Bucks led for the majority of this game. Chris Middleton was shooting lights out for them, so it was a good win for Atlanta. You're right. Maybe it does propel them into like a winning streak. They need to get on a streak where they win like 8 out of 11 or like 9 out of 12 games just to get into the playoffs discussion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Maybe a win that could be a season-changing win, but they definitely need to heat up, and they need to do it soon. All right, I see a couple more games. We don't have to get to the Blazers Magic, right? Because
Yeah, we could skip that.
who even wants to talk about that? Heat Raptors. I think this is a game that we could go over a little bit. 104-99 win there for the Heat. That they were able to get Bam back into the lineup.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so he had 14 and 9, so kind of like typical Bam numbers, right? He's doing his thing. He played 32 minutes, so played a pretty, full games, logged the third most minutes on the team. Tyler Hero, again, 23 off the bench, but Heat, when they've been fully loaded, they look like they could be the best team in the East. What do you think about them?
No, I agree, especially in the playoffs. This team is built for the playoffs. It's not built for the grind of the regular season. They've already gone through it 2 years ago and made the finals. So, I mean, this is not the type of team that's really going to focus every single night. And with that being said, they're 28-16. They're sitting pretty. Kyle Lowry didn't even play in this game. So this would have been a revenge game. Huh? I didn't even think about that. But Jimmy Butler, triple-double, 19, 10, and 10. You always know he's going to give it 100%. Tyler Hero, man, that guy is a scoring machine, dude.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's been great this year. I had that bold Hero like 6-man type of prediction, so I'm hoping that can play out. All right, Suns against the Spurs here, 34-9 here for the Suns.
Look at that fourth quarter, Dad. Look at that fourth quarter.
I was on the Spurs like a couple nights ago, and it was something similar. I forget who they played, but they were covering. Oh, they played the Cavs. They were covering all game, right, all half, and then it just collapsed. Like at the end, they missed free throws. They're young, so like closing games, I think, is a big thing for them right now. So maybe they're like a better first half team, but it also seems like they always fall back. I don't know how to read the Spurs at the moment, but 48 from Devin Booker. The leader in rebounds for this game was Bismack Biyombo for the Suns. What was your thoughts on this one?
Wow, 14. He went 17 and 14 in 25 minutes. That's impressive. He might take over JaVale's spot really soon. My thoughts on this, frustrating fourth quarter. For those who don't know, I was on the Spurs plus 3.5. They were leading the game entering the fourth. They got outscored by 18 points in the fourth and lost by 4. So I lost by 14. So really bad fourth quarter for them defensively and offensively. Devin Booker, like Dad said, went off for 48. I'm surprised he didn't get to 50 because he's really big on milestones, right? He scored like 70 in that Boston game. Surprised he didn't go for 50 in this. I thought Chris Paul was sitting. When I saw that line, plus 3.5, it opened at plus 5, slowly inched towards the Spurs. It was a sucker for me. I took it. I thought Chris Paul was going to be out, and I was like, if Chris Paul's out and they have to start Cameron Payne, then I'm gonna love the Spurs. But he ended up playing, and he had a couple big, as always, mid-range buckets in the fourth quarter. So disappointing for me here. DeJounte Murray, one of my favorite players in NBA, 18, 8, and 4. I want him to get out in San Antonio, just like Shai Gilgeous. I want him to get out of OKC. These guys should be in winning teams.
Right. I agree with you. All right, AC, do you want to move to tonight's games here? The Jazz Lakers, we'll just give the Lakers credit, but we don't want to give them too much credit, right? Because they've kind of been – I can't talk about Malik Monk hooking my plus 500 parlay.
That was tough. One thing to say about this, the Lakers were leading all game, lost the lead in the fourth, and came back. That's actually very, very surprising because I thought when they got down in the fourth, I was like, okay, this is typical Lakers game.
And shout out to Stanley Johnson, 15 points, and he actually led that run. So like it was kind of crazy there because he was just going crazy. I was like, Stanley Johnson, what's going on? But he was the guy who kind of took over.
I've always liked Stanley. I don't know about you. I think he has a lot of good size.
Like he was he was a high pick, but
they need to move Westbrook. They need to move Talon Horton Tucker. And just give Stanley Johnson more minutes. I think that'll be, and they're getting Anthony Davis back soon. Again, Anthony Davis is not the same AD as 2 years ago, but I mean, that's a huge upgrade over Dwight Howard.
Mm-hmm. I am with you there. All right, tonight's games, man. We only got two of them, so this won't be long. But T Wolves and the Knicks. There we go with the beautiful graphics. The Knicks and the Timberwolves tonight. Knicks are a 3-point dog. They're coming off a tough loss yesterday, where they just kind of got outplayed. Right, the Wolves looking to get back to 500. Very similar records here. Wolves 21-22, Knicks 22-22. You mentioned Kemba's been out, Cam's out, Nerlens has been dealing with injuries. So, what's your thoughts on this game tonight? Do you think it's a T Wolves play here on the road -3, or do you like the home team to get it done?
Yeah, I'll break this down while you retweet it real quick for the best bets of the night. Yeah, so like Dad said, it's gonna be 7:30 Eastern. It's gonna be at Madison Square Garden. Nick's second night of a back-to-back. Disappointing loss yesterday against the Hornets, right? Without LaMelo Ball, somehow only scored 87. They've had trouble scoring all year long. Timberwolves, really bad defense. So you would think, right, this is where the Knicks can get right offensively. The total right now is sitting at 213.5, which is kind of low, to be honest, for a Timberwolves game because they're usually in the 220s. I think that's an indication to me that I think the books believe that the Knicks are going to continue to struggle offensively. So I like the Timberwolves at -3. I took them at -2.5 earlier this morning, but I still like them at -3. Obviously, it's only half a point. So if you don't like the -3, maybe Timberwolves team total over, maybe Knicks team total under. These are some of the spots. Again, I don't like the Knicks as a team. They do try hard. Guys like RJ Barrett is always trying to go 100%. Tosh Gibson, guys like that. But I just think they have a lot of guys that don't give full effort every single game. Like Julius Randle, I think he just goes in and out of games every single game. You have, Quickly, who, if he's not into it, he's just going to jack every single three that he touches. So, I mean, I don't like Knicks as a team. I like the Timberwolves talent. If it's D'Lo, Anthony Edwards, and Karl Anthony Towns, I think they're going to put a lot of points on the Knicks. That I read this stat this morning. When those three are starting, they are actually +16 per 100 possessions. That is top 2 in the entire NBA. That is elite status. So when those three play and they play over 30 minutes together, that's an elite offensive team. So give me the Timberwolves tonight at -3.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you mentioned it. Those three together, that they've just found a rhythm. For whatever reason, they just work really well. I like the over here in this one. I looked up a same game parlay I'm gonna release later, but we gotta get some life back after that Monk killer. But for me, I think it is an overplay. I see like back to backs hurting defense more than offense. I don't know if you'd agree with that, but I mean, I just think it benefits an over more than an under. If you like the Wolves, I definitely go full game because I could see the Knicks coming out, getting a lead, and then it being a later, their legs just kind of give out, right, playing in a back-to-back game. But I think the Wolves win, and I like the over in this spot tonight. So give me this too. I cannot.
I like the over there too. I mean, the Timberwolves over has hit 9 out of the last 11 games on the road. So like Dad said, second night of a back-to-back, maybe a lot of these guys are not going to give their full effort on defense and really just focus on shooting the ball. So I like it, man. I like that spot a lot.
Tough to find an angle on this one. You see the 10-32 Pistons against the 31-12 Warriors. We know Draymond has been dealing with an injury, but you just look at like the Pistons again, like Kelly Olynyk out. Obviously, Grant being a big player for them. He's been out. Frank Jackson, Rodney McGruder. So they just can't seem to get like even their guys that are kind of good at basketball because they don't have many of them. What's your thoughts on this? Is there any like prop you think? I think this is where you can find like a Steph under or something and take it.
Oh, because you think it's a blowout.
The blowout, yeah. Like you might be able. That's rolling the dice, right? Like I'm not saying because he could put up like 30 and a quarter against this team, but
yeah.
Probably a game where I stay away from, but I would like to see if you have any thoughts on this.
Yeah, I would say this. The Pistons offense has been doing a little better recently. They scored 108, 103, and 126 in 3 of their last 4 games. So their offense did pick up a little bit. So a lot of people don't realize this, but the success of the Warriors is not because of their threes. It's not because of Steph. They're the number 1 defensive team in the league. So you have the number 1 defensive team in the league playing against a team that's doing better offensively. I think the I agree with you. I think that the Warriors roll, but I think where an angle could be, and the Warriors are coming off a really bad loss, right, against the Timberwolves. Maybe like they come out really hot in the first quarter. Whatever that first quarter line, maybe 5.5, maybe 6 or something. I think the Warriors will get a double-digit lead by the end of the first quarter. If you don't like that, look into the first half spot. It's probably -8 or -9 because I think that again, the Warriors, an elite team coming off a loss, I feel like they're going to try to, pour it on early and often against a really bad Pistons team. As far as player props, Cade Cunningham, man, he's been playing a lot better recently. And if we expect it to be a lot of scoring and then a lot of garbage time minutes, I think Cade Cunningham is going to be playing a lot of those minutes and get a lot of those opportunities. They do have some talent, man. I kind of like Detroit's backcourt, like Cade, Killian Hayes, Sadiq Bey. Like those are 3 guys that I think a team can really build around, but they're just super young and not that good yet.
Yeah, just an inexperienced team at the moment. Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, maybe, the Warriors have been, I guess this is the coldest that they've been on the season, like this recent stretch without Draymond. Maybe Clay's kind of struggled in his return. So maybe
he hasn't shot over 40% since his return. So yeah, this could be a bounce back for him. Maybe he goes 8 for 12 or something. And
so it could be a good spot for Clay as well. But that will wrap up another edition of 2 in the Zone. AC, we're coming up on our 50th episode soon, so we might have to get a little bit of some giveaways involved here.
Oh, I like it.
As well. But again, shout out to the best sportsbook on Twitter. Give them a follow at 7 Stacks Sports. Again, anyone watching, if you sign up with Stacks today, we did this yesterday, had a lot of people take advantage. We're going to send you our full VIP card. Before anyone watches the show, I'll give away a week of VIP.
Bang.
Doing that.
I'll do a week too, man. I'll do a week too. All you got to do is sign up with Stacks. You get a week from me, a week from Dead.
Yep. So again, at 7 Stacks Sports on Twitter, just shoot him a DM. Say you were watching 2 in the Zone. You're going to get 200% free play bonus, and just like we said, reduced lines, -105, whatever you guys need there. Best customer service, same day payouts in crypto as well. All right, AC, we will be back tomorrow. Have a little bit more to break down on the NBA slate. But again, guys, thank you for tuning in. We'll see you then.
Good luck, guys.